Now, the next thing that I would like to show you here is the vector graphic using Illustrator. Very similar to Photoshop. I will show you some kind of essential operation and user interface. You will see a lot of similarities when you look at the Illustrator user interface when you compare it with Photoshop. I will show you creation of a new file for you. Let's say you would like to design name cards. You would like to design some souvenir. Accordingly, what should you do? And also, I will show you some kind of basic vector image editing. Imagine you are working in a company. The company have some kind of old poster at your disposal, so that what you need to do is just updating some kind of outdated information by replacing some kind of text using vector graphics. It is very simple to do so. And finally, very likely, you are not going to print that particular printout using your own printer. For this case, how to export a particular photo or particular vector graphic so that you can send to your printing company and the printing company could help you to print it out. So without further ado, let me go to Illustrator. So this is the Illustrator interface. Now, once again, I have done some customization to this user interface so that I can work a little bit more efficiently. Now, on the right hand side, you can see I myself like to put corresponding toolbox just like the Photoshop. I like to have navigator. I like to have the information. I like to have the color, some kind of gradient, and more importantly, I like to have the layers put here. Now let me show you some interesting thing that I have produced throughout the year for my own department. Let's say here I have my particular name card design. Okay, so this is the design of my particular name card. So in order for you to view this a little bit more clearly, I will resize these. And also for you to see it a little bit more clear, I will put the layers here. So it is easier for you to understand what is happening here. Now imagine that you have a name card something here, but I don't like this information. Then what you need to do is you can perform some kind of editing in this particular Illustrator. Now, the final output is something like this. Okay, very simple name card design. What you need to do as a beginning of this photo editing using vector graphics is that you need to take a ruler and accordingly you measure the corresponding size of the width and the height and then you put it to the computer system. Now here, this particular name card, I have already made some changes in advance, make some measurement in advance, so that you can see this is a graphic that is 90 millimeter in width and 54 millimeter in height. In order to produce or in order to create a new file of this particular size, you can do it like Photoshop. You can go to New, you can go to select this one, and then let's say new name card design. And accordingly, you can enter the corresponding width and height for your particular application. Now, for a name card design, it's like 90 millimeter and 54 millimeter. And accordingly, it will be able to configure a particular canvas for you to work on. When we work on printouts, it is very important for you to look at this one, the bleed. Okay, in Chinese we call it 出血位. This is very important when your final outcome is intended to be printed out. Because when we talk about printout like this, when we talk about printout like this, there will be somebody who used the cutter to cut this particular output, to cut this particular print out. And accordingly, you can see sometimes the cutting may not be as exact as the screen display that you can see. That's why usually we will use a bleeding location or bleeding area to make the image a little bit outside the intended area so that the cutting will be better looking for physical printout. And this is a very important concept when you work on printed material. So usually you need some millimeter printout. So usually, let me put it this way, 10% of your particular printout. Let's say here, I think 10 millimeter is already more than enough. Now you can see, as I have told you, the default color system of Illustrator is CMYK, because when you design something like this, then very likely you will print it out. And the printing company will use 4 color of ink to produce the final outcome. So let me click on this OK here. And you will see this is your particular working area. This is the size of the name card. Now let me show the rulers. So you can see I have the rulers. Now, this particular intersection point is what we call the edge of your material. Now here, the red line is the bleed area. From this black line out to here, sometimes you need to produce something in this area. So when the knife cut on the physical piece of paper, it will be able to produce a clean color for the edge of the piece of paper. Okay, so this is why I have outside, this is the bleed area, and inside, this is the piece of paper that intended to design accordingly. Now you can make changes to the text in case my telephone number change, in case my email address change, or in case I have something new to be put in my title here. So let me make some changes here. You need to identify the corresponding object on the layer. So I think I have put it in the English location. Now I have already logged it up, so I cannot change anything in the English section by accident. So I need to unlock this one, and accordingly, I can click on this English text, and then I can make changes accordingly. So let's say I don't like the dot here, so seems like this is better looking. I don't want people to know my middle name. I can remove the initials here. And now, in addition to PhD, I am just recently completed my application to join as a member of the Hong Kong Computer Society. So I am eligible to put MHKCS after my PhD degree. So basically, in case you have some kind of old files that you have found on the company archive that you are working on, what you need to do is just to update some kind of outdated information. You can do it like this with vector graphics. It's very simple for you to make changes, let's say, with some kind of English text, changing this, changing that, and then you can produce something and then send it to the printout company. Now, let me show you another example. Now, this is another example that I have done for the department last year. So some donor donated 2 million Hong Kong dollar for us to set up a research center. Let's say if the same donor is making another donation, then there are a number of information that we may need to change for this particular big check to be presented in the opening ceremony. So there are something that you can do. Let's say, for example, if you select this one, maybe now it is 2003. You can change to maybe the beginning of the first semester. Okay, so you can do it like this. Okay, 1st of September 2023. Maybe this particular person now would like to donate 3 million Hong Kong dollar instead of 2 million. What you need to do is changing this one and also change this one. Now I save the trouble in making changes to the Chinese character, but you have the idea. With vector graphic, it's very easy for you to generate something and make changes on the text accordingly. Now, as I have told you, any printed material you need to have the bleed out 你要有個出血位嘅. So accordingly, you can see the machine from the printing company will cut at this location. But in order to produce a better looking edge of the cutting, you need to make sure that the color is outside this particular cutting area, up to the bleed area. So when the knife cut through this location, it will produce the color up to the very edge of the cutting. So this is the idea of physical printout. You need to reserve some space for the bleeding. And maybe, so let me make some changes here. Let me keep it at 2 million Hong Kong dollar. Now, sometimes you may want to make changes to the color. Now, in Illustrator, it's very simple. So let me find the check here. Okay, so let me unlock this one. And I have the corresponding color here. Okay, this one. Now here, I have some kind of color. Maybe the donor this time do not like this particular color anymore. Maybe he would like to change it into another color instead of the gold color. Now on the right hand side, you can see this one. You can make changes accordingly. Maybe you can change it this one into a little bit green color. A little bit green. Okay, so something like that, you can make this type of changes accordingly. If that particular object in the Illustrator, you would like to change the color accordingly. So you can select the object, make changes here, or maybe a very simple Pantone color, you can change it to red as well. So these are some kind of basic things that you can do when you are working on a vector graphic. Now, the final thing that I would like to show you is how to export something in order to send out to the printing company. Now, what you need to do is very simple. You can actually save as a copy, and accordingly, you can use the AI file or the PDF file that usually your printing company will be able to open this file and print it out for you after you have specified the corresponding dimension. Now, this particular dimension, let me check the corresponding document and edit cardboard here. I think this particular cardboard, it is 48 inches width, which means 4 feet, and 24 inches in height, which means 2 feet. So this is 4 feet times 2 feet of a big check to be presented in the ceremony. Now, accordingly, if you give this file save as an AI and then send to the printing company, they will be able to reproduce this physical big check for you. Remember, once again, when you are working on something that is intended to have physical copies, make sure you have the corresponding bleed area. Before I talk about the last thing, I would like to show you the last one. So this particular batch, that I have designed for them. Now, this particular batch, according to the vendor helping us to produce it, they require a bleed area of 7 mm accordingly. That is why you can see without the bleeding area, the badge is intended to look like this. But in order to produce this one using mass production machine, according to the manufacturer, you need to give them a bleed area of at least 7 mm. That is why when I send the graphic to the particular printing company, you need to produce something that is extended outward so that when the knife do some kind of cutting and produce the final object for you, you will see a nice looking edge. So this is the idea of using Illustrator for some kind of printout, designing some kind of poster, designing some kind of name cards according to your particular use case. Before I end this particular tutorial, the last thing that I would like to show you is this one. Because nowadays, Photoshop and Illustrator, these comes with the Adobe Suite. And many of you know that in order to use Adobe Suite nowadays, you need to have some kind of monthly subscription, and it may not be cheap. So in case you are looking for some kind of free of charge alternatives, I would like to tell you there are two open source projects on the internet that you can look into. In case you are looking for the Photoshop alternative, you can look for the GNU Image Manipulation Program. Their website look like this. So this is basically a free of charge alternative for Photoshop. Operating this particular software is very similar to using Photoshop. In case you are working on some kind of vector graphic, the Illustrator alternative is called the Inkscape, and their website look like this. So basically, it works very similar to Illustrator, and it is an open source project. You can also look into this one in case you are looking for some kind of free of charge solution. So thank you very much for watching this recording. And in case you have any questions related to using image processing software like Photoshop and Illustrator, feel free to contact me. I'm Dr. Joseph Kong from the Department of Business Administration. So thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.